You ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network or watching us over here on Broadway World or following us on social media. I'm excited because Valentine's Day is coming. People, did you know Valentine's Day is coming? Gentlemen, it's always the 14th. Do not forget that it is Valentine's Day. Don't wait till the day of. Well, Heather, I was reading about Heather. Heather Christie does everything. She's a writer. She's a producer. I think she's a mother because it talks about her, all that she does. She has written books, multiple books, and been in many magazines and articles. And she has a book out that I need to know all about called LoveNotes, Real Stories, Real People, Real Love. Selected and created by Heather Christie as the editor. And now it is coming to New York and one of the most beautiful places in New York City to see a show at Symphony Space with all these beautiful people reading music, the whole thing. Heather, welcome to the Roundtable. Tell us about love.
Hi, Robert. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and talk about LoveNotes.
I'm excited. It looks like a composition notebook. It's so cute.
Yeah. So LoveNotes, the book, it's everything that you would put in your notebook, in your composition book. So we have stories. Now, these are real stories by real people about real love. And I can tell you in a second, like how that all came to be. But then we also have like journal prompts, things that you'd write in your journal, like what was your first kiss like? Was it magical, awkward, gross? And that goes with the story. And then we have little puzzles in here, like when you're looking for love, like what to look for. So it's like all these different things that you would find in a composition book. So that's the book. That's the book.
So cute. Look, heatherchristiebooks.com, or you can go to wherever books are sold. You can buy LoveNotes, but all the information's on your website about the book, and all of your books and all of your writing is all info. So it's like a journal, and it's interactive, and you get the story. So it's a little bit of everything.
Right. It's kind of like a hybrid. I'm trying to create a new genre.
I like a new genre, and I love this idea of the book. Okay, so I got that.
Okay.
Get the book.
So the book though. So what happened to me, like I was married for a very long time and went through a divorce. And then I fell in love, but the person turned out not to be in love with me. But anyway, I started thinking like, what's going on here? Like, what does real love look like? Can somebody please show me what does real love look like? And I'm a writer and I've done some storytelling and I'm like, I want real stories by real people about real love. Like, show me. And so that's how the call went out. And I kind of had this idea, like I'm a writer, I want a book, and I have a sort of performance background. And so anyway, last year, we did LoveNotes, real stories by real people about real love storytelling show. It was at the Center at Park West, but this year we've moved into Symphony Space. So we have people standing up and giving testimony, real stories, their love stories. Right? Just in time for Valentine's Day. Yeah. So some of the storytellers, like some of them are professional storytellers or actors, but some of them aren't. Some of them are just like regular people. And like we've worked on these stories and some of them are in the book. Some of them will be in next year's book. But yeah, so that's why I'm like so happy that you are talking about this.
Of course. Well, it's the perfect time. It's on the 15th of February and there's 3 days. There's 3 times. So you can see the show. No matter what time, there's a 2 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, and an 8 o'clock. And the 8 o'clock show is also going to be available as a live stream. So no matter where you are around the country, no matter what you're doing on the 15th, you can go to symphonyspace.org and you can get your tickets and come on down and see the show. So the cast that you've gathered are storytellers and regular people and people. Where do these stories come from? What are they about besides love?
About love. Okay. Yeah. So they're all about romantic love, right? Because people are saying, well, can I tell a story about my dog? I'm like, no, not this LoveNotes. Maybe that'll be some other LoveNotes. But yeah, so these are real, and it's all kinds of love. Straight love, gay love, any kind of love you can imagine. And we have everything from hilarious to heartbreaking. But ultimately, I say healing. And everybody should leave feeling some hope, right? Like I always say, congratulations to like the happily coupled people who come to the show. But I want to give an especially warm welcome and invitation to the brokenhearted, right? The show is for you and for me, right?
Well, Heather, you can be brokenhearted and then find love.
Yes, yes. And that is what we are trying to show. Yep. That love is for everybody. Sometimes it shows up in really weird places at really unusual times. And there's something so beautiful in hearing somebody tell their own story. So it's not like something somebody made up, you know? This is kind of like a hybrid of, and it's not exactly like some people, when they think storytelling, they think like The Moth, where people are getting up, you're not quite sure what they're going to say, and it's a competition. But this is like much more choreographed, because we work on the stories. Like people audition with their stories, and then as the editor and producer and director, we work together on the stories to get them so like they really sing, and we kind of create this like ride for the audience. Yeah, so it's really, and then we have music. We have a really wonderful musician, Glenn Roethel. He's going to sing like 4 really great love songs. Like if you had to pick a love song, Robert, what would be the best love song to play at LoveNotes? I'll tell you if it's on the playlist.
Now I feel like that's so much pressure, Heather. I love like a little I Can't Help Falling in Love with You, or a little Titanic-y moment, or a little, you know, like I Will Always Love You, you know, like.
That's it. You picked one of them. I Will Always Love You is going to be in it. Yep. And it was between Unchained Melody and I Can't Help Falling in Love. And we went with Unchained Melody.
So good. That's as iconic as you can get. I mean, I think of Ghost and Demi Moore, and even dead people can be in love, apparently, according to that movie. And then, so, all right. See these classics. So the tickets are on sale, and they're reasonable, and they're fit. There's VIP tickets. What are the experience going to be like that day? Like, is it a regular show? Are we going to sit down? What does a VIP ticket get you? Is it a great seat? Tell me about it.
Yes. So we have two sections of seating. Both are first come, first serve, but you're either in the VIP, which is like very much at the front, or then you have the general admission, which is like the second half of the auditorium. All seats are great though, so people can really just feel confident with whichever spot they're in. So we are going to have, it's going to be a little different, a little interactive, because like the book is interactive. So the program itself has some of the puzzles and journal prompts in them. And then there'll be little love notes that you get when you come in, and then you can give to somebody else while you're there. And then for people who aren't familiar with Symphony Space, it's a really cool theater, and it has its like own bar and concessions. So it's not like just like where you go up and get a drink, you're standing there, they pay you. You can sit down. There's places to congregate, like if people want to meet beforehand or like hang out afterwards. Because I found in storytelling shows like this, like the audience, I always tell my storytellers, you need to tell the story, right? Something's going to happen for you when you tell the story, something cathartic. But even more importantly, somebody needs to hear your story. And so after the show, what we have, I've found, is like the audience kind of rushes the storytellers. Like they want to talk to them and say like, oh my gosh, that happened to me, or I can't believe that. So there's this like great space at Symphony Space where people can kind of congregate after the show and get a drink or a snack and things like that.
You may fall in love right there.
Yeah. It's like it would be a perfect date night, right? Even an early dating thing, because like you'll see the stories and it like lends itself to conversation. Like, well, which story did you like best? Or, you know, like it's that, and it's not like a whole lot of pressure kind of thing. Like it's an hour and a half. So it's not too long.
Right.
When if you don't like the date, you don't have to sit there for 3 hours. But so I think it's great. I want everybody to come.
Well, what I like about it is, firstly, I love that it's on the 15th, because nobody wants to go out on the 14th anymore. It's too crowded and too busy and too hectic. And so on the 14th, order food and watch a movie at home. And on the 15th, go and see LoveNotes, go out and about, go grab dinner, grab a drink, and hang out at Symphony Space. Do you tell your story?
So I'm the host, so I'm on stage. So I do always tell a little story. Yeah, I open the show.
So I have a question for you personally, if you don't mind me asking. You said in the beginning, you said that you were married, you got divorced, you dated, and then you were heartbroken. And so how do you still believe in love? Well,
this project, really, I say it came out of the darkest, loneliest season of my life. Where there's like this nudge inside of me that said, Heather, you just have to look around. You have to look around. Look for the proof. look for the evidence. So even when I have that kind of like self-talk that says like, oh, well, you'll never find love, you'll never get, literally sometimes there's like the other side of my head, that other part in there that starts saying, well, no, well, look at Kay's story. Look at Amy's story. So it's been an act of faith and trust that the universe is pushing me this way, wants me to see it, and wants me to hold it up and show it to other people.
Well, I think that's really beautiful. You know, I was married and divorced myself as well, and at one point thought like, oh, I am done. And now I'm getting married in May.
Oh,
yes,
maybe it could be in next year's Love Notes.
I will tell my story anytime, Heather.
Oh.
And my first marriage was to a woman, and then we gave that up because that didn't end well, Heather. But the new one is great. The new one is great, and it makes you feel like just when you think that you are not going to find love, someone could come into your life and really knock you for a loop. It's really amazing that there are good people out there, and even when you feel like giving up, I've had so many conversations. My cousin, she dated for years and was always like, I'm going to be single. And one New Year's Eve, she made she's a good story for Love Notes. She made a resolution that she was going to try to do something different. And I encouraged her to go online and do something different and not the same apps and not the same nonsense. She was engaged within 4 months and they've been married. Like, you know, tomorrow could be the day we all find our endless love, truly.
Right,
So.
Robert, you know what? And like, I think that's why like the universe or whoever's conspiring, like literally put me in front of you today. So I could hear that again, right?
Yes.
Like you said, I found love again.
Yes.
Like, do you know what I mean? So I'm walking in faith, right? But if you do know any like middle-aged single men,
yes,
you could set me up.
Let
I'm okay with that.
You're in New York. Where are you? New York?
I'm in Manhattan. Yeah.
Oh
Upper
man.
West Side.
We got to beat down all the married and the gays first, and then we'll get what's left over. That's the problem, Heather.
Oh, I know. I'm walking down the street. I'm like, oh, he looks interesting. Look, he's gay. No, that, or that one. No, he's married. No. I'm starting to sound desperate.
All the good ones are taken or gay is what the joke is, but no, that's not true.
Right.
I'm happy to be a taken gay. So,
yeah. So when are you getting married though? When's your wedding?
5/25/25.
Woohoo! I love it.
And we met. This is funny about
Tell
love.
us how you met. Yeah.
We met that I sing. So I have a song called I Think He Knew, which is about a dad and a son, and the son coming out to the dad. He runs Motor City Pride in Detroit. He's the entertainment coordinator, and he booked me to perform at Motor City Pride. And so I had never been to Detroit, so I took the gig, and he asked me if I could take him out, if he could take me out for pizza, because I had never been to the city. And I told him no, Heather, because I'm not flying into Detroit and just gonna meet you for some moment of time and fly back to New York City. I'm not like that. I'm a classy broad. So I said to him, but after I met him and I saw him and he's gorgeous, I said, you could take me for pizza. And then at the end of the night, he said, it was nice to meet you. And he shook my hand. And I stood there in front of my hotel room like, what? Where? And now a couple years later, here we are.
Getting married. Oh, I love it, Robert. Yes, it sounds like a Love Notes story.
See, I'm ready. I'm ready for chapter 2, the next book. Someone could come into your life tomorrow. They could come see the show on the 15th. We better be careful because otherwise it will be like The Bachelor and they'll be lined up outside to you're beautiful and you're accomplished and smart and successful. Everyone, but you have to go through me because I'm protective of Heather now. No,
yes, I like that, Robert.
No, don't think you're just going to get over on us. What is it that has been inspiring? What are some of the stories? Can you give us a little? Is there a story that really knocks you for a loop?
Oh, yes, like in different ways though. Like there's one story that's in the book, and she's going to be in this year's show, and she's a pretty well-known storyteller in New York City. Her name's Rana Levy, and she tells a story called Timing. Oh, and it literally makes me cry every time I hear it, and I don't want to give it away, but she meets a man that she works with, but she wants to be a creative, and she ends up leaving him and going to LA, and then there's a reconnection, and then there's a heartbreaking ending. But okay, so that's all I'll say. So that story. Then I also have, I don't want to give too much away, but I have a couple. He is, I think, 82 and she's 87. And they found love 7 years ago. I know. That is a great story. And then I have, I have so many great stories. I have a lesbian stand-up comic who usually used to tell me like really funny stories. She has when I say deadly, someone almost dies, deadly serious love story. She knocks it out of the park. Like there's just something for everyone. But those are like some that really stick out to me. And then there's another one called Love Eventually. It's a veteran. And he talks about right before he left for Vietnam, and he loved this woman. He knew the moment he saw her, he was going to marry her, but it didn't happen. It was love eventually. Like she didn't see it for a while, but anyway, yeah, they're stories that like warm your heart, break it a little bit, but then fix it back up.
You know, it's one of my favorite topics because I know you do too, because you wouldn't have written about it. I love love. Like I love the idea of love. I'm so moved by people who've been married for like, I'm not out here playing. I never was a player out in these streets, Heather. I like I want to hold on to you and be 106 years old. And I want the Notebook. So I love to hear people's stories, and I love to hear people's stories that the second time around or the third or in their 80s, you find your love and your person that works. So that's so moving to me. Did you have trouble dating after your divorce? Was it hard to figure out how to do this in this day and age?
Yes. Because, you know, I was married very young. I'm afraid you'll think I was a child bride if I tell you how young. And I was married a long time. So like when I came back into the dating world, I literally had no idea what was going on. Right. And, but I'm also like a type A person. So like make a list. I'm like, okay, like I've got to do it this many times and then I'll find one. My mother says I'm not allowed to say how many first dates I've been on because it makes me sound desperate.
Okay, we're not going to say it.
I won't say it. But, and my brother says, just keep going, Heather. Just see if you can get to 101. Then you can write a book about it. I'm like, oh my goodness. But yes, the climate is so different. I know I'm joking. And it's so, especially the online and in New York City, people are kind of like disposable almost. Like, you know, like they'll have conversation and then they just vanish. Like, where'd they go? So yeah, it's been challenging, but I don't want to fall into that, like, you know, negative thinking either, where people are like, oh, it can never happen, especially in New York City. Like, no, I'm walking forward and believing it's going to happen for everyone, including myself at some point.
It is.
I'm not too old.
Heather, you look gorgeous. You are young. You are wearing red. You have beautiful hair. Your makeup is beat down. You have are you kidding? And I thought you were going to say more than 101 first dates. So I don't think it sounds desperate at all. I think you said
not yet. I'm not desperate yet. Okay.
Living human being that is out here trying to find their person. That's what life's about. I relate so much to that story. You know, I got How long did it take you?
How long did it take you between the first divorce and finding Mr. Right?
Well, I was with Samantha. Well, we would say this. Yeah, we can. She knows. We were together from 16 to 30. I got married at 28, but we were together from 16. It was the only person I dated, the only person I've kissed, only person I was ever with. 30 years old, got divorced, and I took 3 years by myself, went to therapy, came out of the closet, went through my own journey at 33. Never kissed someone else, never mind gone on a gay date, which is what? Where? And I was in Rent. I was in a production of Rent, and the choreographer hit on me, and I wasn't even out yet. Now the choreographer's on a reality television show, and he was not the greatest experience because I had thought, Heather, that your first, you know, when you go out and you like somebody and you go on a date and you go on dates and then you see each other and you're dating and then you go on vacation. Like I thought we were together. Like
exclusive. You thought you were in a relationship.
I didn't understand that these are things that have to be spoken about. Aren't you just a nice person? If we see each other, how many people are you seeing? I'm exhausted. I didn't understand this, Heather. You know how it ended?
How?
I took him to Hamilton, and I had friends in the show, and I took him backstage and took him on the stage. And this was the height of Hamilton, and he took his pictures and he met the cast. And a week later, he was seeing one of the guys that was in the show. He reached out to him on Instagram and started dating him instead.
You're kidding me. You basically introduced them.
I did. I introduced them. So I'm 41. So I got divorced at 30 and I started dating at 33. And so it's and me and Darius are together 3 years. So it took a good 6-7 years.
Okay. So that gives me hope. I've been divorced 5 years coming up in March.
See, next year is your year, Heather.
That's the year. Okay.
That's your year, next year.
I'm holding you to it.
It's going to happen next year. Do you have dating horror story? Is there a day when you were like, I'm not doing this anymore? I think ghosting is the worst, though. It really hurts it really is not nice to do that.
I know. And you know what? I've tried to take a practice now. Like, if there's someone I've gone on a date with and he asked me out again and so we go on another date, but then I'm just like not feeling it, I refuse to ghost. I will say, like, I did this. I said, I think you're smart, you're handsome, and, you know, funny, but for whatever reason, I don't feel the romantic spark to pursue things. Like, literally, like, because I feel like that's, even though that hurts, like maybe when you first hear it, but at least like it's honest. Like, I hate when people just disappear and you're like, well, what happened? And yes, to answer your question, I have had, it's not been all bad. I've met some really great people, but I have had some horror stories. Yeah, I have.
I can imagine. And I think one of the problems with New York City, I grew up in New Jersey. I'm in Detroit right now, which Darius lives here, and we bought a house here, and we are living our Midwest best little, I feel like the little, house on the prairie. And so when I was in New York, the problem is you could meet amazing, fancy people who have big, fancy jobs and do amazing things. But like you said, you're disposable. You're just a Friday night, and then life goes on, and that's not nice. We have to be nice to each other, Heather. Let me know you're not into me. That's okay. Yes.
I agree, Robert. Absolutely. We're all human. We're all trying to be human. Like, we need to treat each other with a certain level of like respect and transparency.
Next year when you find this person, we need to double date because I'm going to take full credit.
I'm on.
Let's go. We're going to take full credit.
Let's do it.
How do you find your inspiration for writing? You've written young adult novels. You've written a lot of essays and articles about all sorts of things. What do you find, like, what makes you, where do you see your ideas? Do you keep a notebook? How do you get the idea to write something?
Right. So my 2 books are young adult books. And I think part of that was because I married so young, as I was 19. And like a lot of that writing, and then I have 2 children who are young adults. And that writing happened kind of like, it was like a processing, sort of like my own growing up and coming of age, like many, many, many years later. Right. But that was a real kind of inspiration for that sort of those 2 novels. And then my essays are more like sort of the personal narrative kind of essay. Like, it's either, I was kind of like in the whole mommy blogging thing for a while, and then that kind of morphed into like more self-reflective type of essays, and then LoveNotes sort of just took over my focus in the last couple of years. Yeah.
Well, it's a great idea. And then what was the idea to turn LoveNotes from a book into being a producer and now putting it up on stage? I mean, that's a leap. That's a jump.
Oh, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Well, as a young person, I was an actress. And I sort of gave all that up when I married so young, and my ex-husband was a professional soccer player, and we ended up moving all around for his career. And when I started doing the mommy blogging, though, there was this other show called Listen to Your Mother that I auditioned for, and I was a cast member in. And I really enjoyed the experience, and it kind of like brought back my youth of, doing all this stuff, coming in and out of New York City. And so I ended up producing Listen to Your Mother first, which is somebody else's, Ann Immig's creation. And when LoveNotes started to, I started thinking about it, I was like, I want my own thing. And it marries these parts. Like, a lot of people are just a writer or just a performer. And I kind of have like this weird synthesis of the two. Like, I wouldn't call myself an actress. I'm not. But I do like to tell a story, like a story I've written. I can get up and tell it. I'm comfortable on stage, like to do the MC stuff. So that's kind of how it came. I was like, well, why not? Why can't this be a book, and maybe a book? Like, I'd like it to be like Chicken Soup for the Soul, and have like, I have ideas for like Heartbreak Survival Guide. And then we could do a stage show, heart, like that version, or Dating Diaries, or How We Met. Like, yours would be such a great How We Met story. He's booking you on a gig, and yeah, so that's kind of how, and I have these aspirations eventually, like when I have enough stories to do a podcast, like something like you're doing, where LoveNotes, where somebody comes on and they'll read their story, And then I did the interview of like the story behind the story. And then people could write love notes to each other too that would be read on air. So that's kind of like germinating for this coming year. So it would be three things. It's the storytelling show, the book, and the podcast. Oh, and the other thing is I'm not franchising, but licensing the show. So we do have a show in Chicago that's going to be February 1st, and then that is already sold out. And then we have a show in Indianapolis on January 31st, and that hopefully will be sold out by then. So I'm going to go see both of those. But if you know anybody or anybody who's listening who might be interested in bringing love notes to their town or community, I would love to talk to them. And we have like a whole mastermind group, and it's like I call them creative entrepreneurs. And like we are trying to spread love. Like that's the tagline, spreading love one story at a time.
I love it. This is such a market that is universal for everybody, no matter what gender, where you live, sexuality, whatever whatever love is universal. And we're all looking for it, and we all want it. And it's one of the most biggest mysteries of the world about how it exists, how it works, why it works for some people and not for others.
Yes.
And to hear people's stories and to talk about it is so fast. I'm fascinated by this whole topic. When you have a podcast, I'm going to force myself.
You're going to come on it. You're on it.
I just invited myself. Yep. That's it. I'm coming on.
You'll be the first one. You'll be the first one.
I'm coming on. I'll tell you all of my juicy secrets, whatever you want to know. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want everyone that's listening to the sound of our voices, go to symphonyspace.org and get your tickets. There's 3 chances for you to see it on the 15th. So if you have other plans, you can see it earlier in the day. If you want to make a big fancy date night, see it at 8 o'clock. Get the live stream ticket so you can watch it right from the comfort of your home as well. Then you don't have to worry about it being sold out and missing your chance. We can go to heatherchristiebooks.com and we can find out all the information, especially about it being around the country, like Chicago, Indianapolis, and then as it comes to New York. And you can order the book wherever books are sold. Where can we follow you? I know I follow you, but where can we follow you? We'll make the link below us.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and both places I'm at Heather Christie Books.
Heather Christie Books. Look below it in the bio.
I'll follow you back. I'll follow you back.
Following from follows. Look below and find the link, and it will lead you right there to the Instagram page. I'm excited. I need to order a copy of the book. I want to fill it out. I don't want to remember the first kiss, but I want to fill out the book.
Thank you, Robert. That would be great. Thank you so much.
I'm excited. So, congrats. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
I'm sure your plans are going to be about the show.
All about the show. Yep.
Which is a love. My show is my baby. So I understand that too. It's a love as well.
Yes.
So congratulations. Sure. Wishing you so much love, and keep in touch. We want to know when you find this man next year.
Okay.
Thank you, Heather.